making sure that you have your table. In Dreamweaver, we're just repeating the steps. You should have a site definition. You have your folder in htdocs. So that's the base, isn't it? That shouldn't go wrong. So I have a site called as cars, and I don't know where that is taking me. Manage sites. Edit. So I'm going to define my site again because I don't know which site is this. So I'm going to make a new site so that obviously even you could repeat. So let's say cars. The folder we are making it is in 1417. Is that the last folder? Okay. Can I just make a new folder? Oh no, I know why it's not there, because I can't work from this. I have to work from htdocs. So cause, let's go to C drive, exam, htdocs, and so with that, if I pick up this site, I won't have to do the connections because all that already exists. So servers, add, you're gonna go for local network. Your server folder is the same. Here, I think most of you are making this error here, isn't it? You don't put your folder name and then your site definition doesn't work. And then you go back on it and change it. So many of you have just checked that. So when you're doing your exam htdocs minicaps, here it's just localhost followed by your folder name. Advanced, do set your server model. It does work without it, but some systems it doesn't. Some systems pick it up, some systems don't pick it up. So just say save. This here, when you are on doing servers, this is a common error I've seen. You guys do the server folder right, but when you are putting a web URL after localhost, you forget to put your folder name, or some of you wrote htdocs within it. It's just localhost followed by your folder name, right? And the second thing is advanced. You go to your server model, you usually pick up PHP MySQL. Now for some machines, what I'm saying is it picks up without picking up that. If you don't set it, it still works. But for some machines, it doesn't work. So it's good that you've set it up, because there are so many possible models which a computer can work. But as soon as you make a PHP file, it knows that you're going to use PHP and MySQL model. So it is capable of picking it up, but I'm not 100% sure whether CS4 will pick it up. If you go onto a different machine, it might not pick it up. So it's good to set it so that it's there in the settings. Yeah. So once you click on save, save. I think the error message saying is so done, and that's my website. Yeah. And obviously this is grayed out because I don't have any page open. Yeah. I can get rid of all the options because I want to do them again. Right, so that I'm going to do it again. So we start from the very first step. You have your first page, new. You're going to make a PHP page. So the pages you need is, we said that for your user authentication, there are minimum 3 pages you're going to need. I can't say 3 actually. You might need just 2, because I don't know if you've seen many websites which have got login and register on the same page. Is that? You can just go on whichever site you want. It's your decision, your design. But what you need is you need a login place, you need a registration page, and then you need a third page, which is your landing page, which once somebody is logged in, where is he going? What is he doing? Why are you making this login concept? So there has to be something different from your regular website to create a concept of a login. So you have your regular website with so much information, but when you log in, you get something different. So that is a person's landing page. Now usually we call it as a account page or a profile page, whatever you want to call it, but there has to be a page which is where the person is going. So if I take that into consideration, I have three pages: login, registration, and landing or an account page, right? So what I usually suggest people is I save my pages beforehand so that I know I've got a login page. I'm going to do a save as for my registration. It's good to keep the names simpler, like registration or user registration, so that you know what pages you are making. So register, and then I have save as account. Yeah, or you want to call it profile, whatever you want to make it. So now the first thing, so that's your login, that's your account, and there's a register.php page. Should we do registration first? We should do a registration first. It's just a form to fill in. Actually, it's a repetition of your insert, isn't it? It's a repetition of your insert. You want to register people to register. So you're capturing the user details and go into the database. Registration page. Now what we usually do is we create admin users. You do not want them to register on your website, do you? Does that make sense? You create your admin users yourself from a backend. Yeah, because it's up to you. If you want to make a system where people can register as admin or as normal users, then obviously you can build. I'll show you what you could do on the page if you want. But that's not a concept, because how will you differentiate? If you could be a normal user and just choose that he's an admin person. Is that right? So so either you create or you can create a separate page. Does that make sense? You could do a separate page called as register admin and then you only give that URL to people who you think are your administrators, because that's going to be your intranet concept. Is that right? What you do is everybody registers to the same page and everybody goes in as a normal user, but as a super user you have the page to upgrade them. So you change their status, because otherwise you can't keep it public. The concept of making user, what kind of a user is it? You can't make it public, because I can just go in and say I am an administrator. No, I can't allow that. So what we do is every user registers from the same page, but your status or your level is the one which a super user can change. Somebody will have to create that. Does that make sense? It's always the case in the system. Somebody else will have to create that specific user first, which yeah. So remember, look at your database. In your database, I think what we did was, here you have the status, right? Now you can add one more field, type of a user or access level. You can use the term access level, but if access level confuses you, just use the word role or type of a user, and you can keep your own words to that. Like 0 is a normal user, doesn't have any permissions. 1 is an intermediate user, an admin, and 2 is a super user. But you will have to add that field into your table, basically. Yeah. So you want to you want to add that field, just add that field here.
Well, if you haven't done, if you click that in
No, but they're going to do that again. So anyways, so okay, let's add one field to this table. So if I go to structure and I just say change, I want to add one column and I say go, and that is, do you want me to call it type of user or role? What do you want me, or you want to call it access level?
Well, what language we could use which everybody would understand?
What do you think? Is it access level, role? Okay, so user role. Does that make sense? I'm just calling it as user role so that you all understand what that is. Computer is gonna, you are making your system work with that field. Computer doesn't know anything. Computer does not have any understanding. You are the one who's deciding what that role does, right? I can call it variable character if you want to put a number, letters. You can keep it integer if you just want to use a number thing. So what do you want me to do? A number or a character? A number. Computer works better with numbers, so like 0, 1, 2 or 0, 1, 2, 3. So I can keep tiny int. So we're not doing change, we're doing add. Go to structure, click on structure, right? Just say add one column and go. Add there, yeah. So I've just added this tiny int. So what is the default value of every user? Let's say 0. Every user is a normal user, right? So the default value you can say as defined, and undefined is 0. For tiny int, you don't have to define the length. Integer, you don't define length. The type defines the length automatically. And that's it, just say save. Now when you go for browse, I think I only had one row. Do you think that go and check browse your table, because I don't know how many records did you had in your, just go browse, it's done. Just go click browse. This is done. It's saying table users has been altered successfully, so you have it. So you can see it has given a default value 0 to every existing. Is that okay? So if you already had 5 records in it, it has already given a 0 value to each one of them, right? Do you want to give, I want you to insert one record in this. I want you to insert one record, which is yourself, which is admin. Call it, put your email address, put whatever email address you want, put password, username, activate that user, is that okay? And put the user role as 2. Why I'm asking you to insert this is one admin user, which is state. Yeah, because that's unique. Password can be repeated. Why can't password be repeated? 2 people can have the same password. If they don't know each other's password, I don't really have to worry. In your structure, if you don't want email to be repeated, if you just click on change, then there is index, isn't it? Just put an index called as unique.
No, sorry, it should be in the, if you go to browse, then it will be on your main.
It is, what I'm saying is here, you just have to add, no, I'm changing this I'm changing something in my structure. What I'm saying is for your email, change that and add an index called as, can you see this, unique? I want to add email and I want to say it should be, so I don't want emails to be repeated. So when you were making your table, if I make any new table, I don't know if I showed you this, but let me just show you if I'm doing a, you can anytime change it, but I don't want you to create this. I just want to show you this. If I was doing a new table, here you get this, isn't it? There's a field called as, where is it? Here. You have primary. So primary is your primary key, but you can add a unique to another field. No, no, it doesn't go. Okay, I can show you here. Look, I'm saying here, cab ID, and let's say cab number. Yeah. So cab ID is integer. My cab number is variable character. I don't want you to make this table. I'm just showing you an example of how to set. This is primary. That is unique. Not gotten. Yeah. So if I just save this table now, I've got this structure in minicabs which has got given me two fields, cab ID and cab number. One is primary key, the other is unique. It won't be allowed. It wouldn't allow any duplicate values. Have your email as your primary key. No, in Spry, okay. When you are doing a form validation on a Dreamweaver, it has got nothing to do with your database. It is just the front end, isn't it? And it can't check whether it is already there or not, because all it can check is whether you put the right, you've typed in what is required, or you can limit. It has got nothing to do with the server. The server check only happens when you click on submit. And obviously we will have to come back. We are doing this user authentication, but we will have to go back and modify these data pages slightly to build in, giving the user does not exist, you're not allowed to, which this doesn't give. When somebody is inserting, Dreamweaver does not have a capability to come back and tell me whether that user, why that insertion has failed. Is that, yeah? So we will have to build in that in between communication in our PHP pages ourselves. Is it, you're talking about Creative Cloud?
Yeah, the last three Creative Clouds completely got rid of Spry.
No, they have it.
In there at all.
Are you sure? I have used Creative Cloud and I have seen Spry in it. I'll have a look because I have used somebody else Creative. Maybe premium. I don't know. I can check, but I think I remember seeing it. It's not obvious. They've hidden it. They've hidden it. I mean, it's there, but it's not obvious on the where you would think. Yeah, I think they're not there now. They've probably changed the position because they have definitely changed some menus in the premium version. But if I am right, my recollection, then I think I've seen Spry in them. I'll show you where they are. Okay. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is you can have this is a double security system. Does that make sense? You have to have unique into your database that even if somebody repeats and my PHP fails to identify it, database is not going to allow duplicate values in the first place. Yeah. So you can set that. So let's go to our page. So let's do a register page. So on my register page, I need to have a form. You can have as many as forms in your page if you like. You know, it doesn't mean that you cannot have more than one form, but one form should be complete in what it needs to be doing. So here I can insert a table or a div, whatever you want, 5 rows, 2 columns, whatever pixels. Sorry. Usually when you insert, the form gets a name, and I usually prefer giving a form a name. You know this? It automatically gets an ID called as form 1. You can call it as register because that's my register form. Your page is register and the form on it is also register. Yeah, or you can name it whatever you like, but it's a good practice to name your form, but some people don't. It's okay as far as you only have one form on each page, then you know. Like it's a registration page, it would be a register form. But if you have more than one form on one page, then it is definitely good practice to put different names, otherwise you would know which one is form 1, which one is form 2. So we actually need to discuss this action and post as well. We've not done that yet. We haven't discussed this because by default it is post, and at the moment we are using Dreamweaver to do it. It sets these values automatically. So that's your form. That's your table. It just build in your your fields which you want to get from person, email, password. Is that all? I don't think so. I have last name and first name in my table. I don't have that in my table. I think I've not kept that. I just kept email, username, and password. That's it. 3 fields in my table. So username, email, password. I don't have. But if you have, I'm just saying is whatever fields you have, you'll have to choose them. Right? We missed you, Mahfouz. So and then all you need is to insert your form and your text fields or sprite text fields, right? If I do a sprite text field, I want a username, give it the same ID. Usually I prefer saying no label tag. I don't want that additional tags coming up. So no label tag, put an ID. So that's your box. Second, insert again text field, that is you pass. When you are doing, oh no, it's not password, it's third form, sprite text field is you email. Now here, this is your text field, then set the type as email address. Because it's a sprite text field, you can actually set it to validate. Do you want to validate on blur, on change, or on submit? When somebody just goes out of that box, you want to tell him that error message straight away? Or you want to see if he, usually I would select on change. If you're doing on blur, you should always do on change. The reason for that is he's filled in the email address, he goes back and changes it and makes it invalid. Right? If you're doing it on submit, which is good because on submit means when a form is going to get submitted, then anyways the check happens. Is that okay? Take a machine at the back. It can work. Yeah. So you have your username here. Again, username validation could be that it is required. The sprite text field. Do I need to select anything? On username?
No.
Nothing. I don't have to select the type, but I think what you should leave this required, that it's must that he fills in the username. So you can't leave it blank. Again, the check is up to you. Does that make sense? When do you want this check to happen? Some people prefer submit. I don't know, I don't like those forms when, you know, when I filled up the whole form and I click at submit and then those error messages come up. Why can't you just tell them while I was typing? Oh, that is already set. Those are in that CSS file. You didn't, okay. You know JavaScript now? So there is a JavaScript for this sprite text field. Go in and you will see the inverted commas in the message. You can actually make it whatever you want to make it. If I show you this, I mean obviously we are going out of the context, but I don't mind. That's a function. Obviously it checks whatever it needs to check. And you will see that there is a on blur, I mean obviously these are checks. There should be a, see what error message comes. I think it usually says invalid. So just look for that word invalid and replace that with whatever code you want. This is all the JavaScript file, that's your CSS. So you can change the colors from here. Because it's defaulted, there is red, there's green, and there's yellow. There are three colors, right? Yellow when you're filling in, red if it's wrong, and green when it's okay. Yeah. So if I go to the source code and design and password now. So if you're doing insert and you're doing a sprite text field from, and you can have sprite validation password only. Or if you want to have repeat password. The box is gone, isn't it? I was not just clicking on the right place. So password. So if you want to set up any minimum number of special characters, a combination rule, set it up here. So this is a password. So you can set up minimum 1 special character, 5 characters, 1 capital, 6 small, whatever. You can set up that up here. Yeah. Again, I said on blur and on change. And I just need a submit button. And you change whatever you want to call it. You want value is what gets written on that button. So I want the word register there, or sign up, or whatever you want to call it. Once that's done, that's yours. You don't. If you don't a sprite password, will do. If you're saying a simple text field, it is automatically picked up. Because when you do sprite text field password, it knows that you set it as a password, and then the validation allows. If you do a normal text field, then you have to go and click on a password. That makes it so that those are not visible. That's your invalid. This is what the error message is. Invalid format. Yeah. But previous state is valid. I don't want it to call invalid or valid when the form opens up, right? So once you've done this, now we go back here, and the first step is to set up a connection. Is that right? And that connection only gets set for the whole site once, but you still have to set up your connection plus give it whatever name you want. Server is going to be localhost. Username is root. There's no password, and obviously it will allow you to pick up your database. And my database is minicap. Yeah, click on, yeah, my. So, okay, yeah. Even if when there's no password, it actually tells you, it gives you an error message. So I'm gonna give you this screenshot. Just get that screenshot. Although you already had a screenshot, but I think you wanted a screenshot with the value, so it's okay. Now here you go to server behavior, and you're gonna do insert. Is that right? So plus, and I go for insert record. And when I go for an insert record, this is what I will get. Submit values from, it will give you the form name here. So if your form doesn't have a name, it will just say form 1. Sometimes this Dreamweaver does that. Just click on that button again, the box just comes back. Here it says submit values from form called as register. Connection name is the name I set up the connection with. Insert table, which table do you want to insert these values into in users. Now what it does is it shows you your field and it shows the boxes on your form, right? They have to match. So it's your responsibility to check whether each value has got a value or not a value. You know, like your field is on left hand side and on right hand side you have your field boxes. So are they matching? Are they not matching? Because computer usually can't pick that up, and sometimes what it does is it does the wrong match as well, depending on what name you've given. It usually tries to match them. If the names are exactly same, it does it like this automatically. But if the names are slightly different, then it gets confused that which field goes in which. So for me, user ID is unused primary key. That's fine because I've set it as auto increment in my tables. It says email does not get a value. So I have to select that, and from value I'm supposed to pick up what is it. So that's the field. My password is upass, and my username it's picked up. Can you see? Because it was uname in the table and uname is my field name, it's picked up. You do not get a value for status and you do not get a value for your user role. Now any field you've left which is not getting a value, you can only do that in 3 circumstances, otherwise there will be a problem. Either it's set as an auto increment, either it has a default value associated with it that if you don't fill in it, computer knows what to fill in, and it has been set to not null. You know, it's required. You can actually allow null. It's okay to leave it blank. Only then this form is going to work. Otherwise, if any field has been set to not allow null, this will fail because computer is taking this value to a database and database is saying where is the value for user role, where is the value for status. Yeah. So once you've associated these, then it says after inserting, where do you want me to go? Now some people love doing a thank you page, thank you for registration, now go and sign in, whatever you want to do. So it's up to you. If not, you want to take them to your login page, wonderful. Just tell me that is the page you want them to go to and click on. Okay. Is that okay? Don't forget the concept of question mark and sending a value. Is that right? The reason for that is, can I send it to login.php and send something with it? You don't want to give this. I want to have a humble. You know, your set. Remember arrays? I can set up a big array with all the error messages in. and I can just use a variable name to point to an error message I want to say. So there's so many things which you can combine. At the moment, I'll not confuse you. I'll just leave the login.php alone, and then we'll look into this a bit more. Remember, I said that you will have to build a communication. PHP does the standard thing, but to make it actual looking website, a professional website, you have to build in the communication, because just inserting or just deleting is not enough. I need to tell the user what's happening, and that can only happen with the help of a PHP when the confirmation messages are being transferred, and that can only happen between this. You know, when I'm taking him to login, you want a pop-up box to come, or at the top of a login page, thank you for registration. So that means the person knows I've registered, something has happened. Otherwise it's like, okay, I've gone to login page, but I don't know whether my registration has failed or not failed. Does it make sense? So for the timing, let's just click on OK. That's it. Now all you have to do is file, save, and okay, and test this page. So you can just go in and test, and I can. That's nice. Okay, let me just not fill in because it was required. So I removed the value. Invalid format. So obviously there's no guarantee that this email is working, but as far as I have put in the right format of that email address, it will be okay. I mean, obviously that's what I said. You know the colors, you can match the colors with your CSS. Password is so when I click on register, obviously it's taken me to login page, which is blank at the moment. If the registration failed for whatever reason, it would stay on the same page. Yeah, we can try that. How do I try that? Is that right? Because we set email as unique, remember? I try to click on the same register twice, and this has come up from the database. This message is coming from the database because database has that field set up as a unique. So although you've not done anything on your page, it still gets that error message back saying duplicate entry m@yahoo.com email, because that has been set as unique. So you can set that for your username as well. Is that right? You can set that for your username. You can set that for your email as well. That is just a front end. That would be just a front end. That's nothing to do with your database. You will have to do a JavaScript yourself to pick up what he's written down in the first box and match it with the second box. It has got nothing to do with your database. Okay? It's just a validation within the Spry you can use. It has nothing to do with your database, because that's just for someone to make sure. I think I don't know all websites allow you to do that. Only some websites nowadays say repeat password. It's for you that you know what you've typed. You know, like some people just type and without knowing what they've typed, and so when it says repeat, it's just making a conscious effort for them to remember what they're putting it as a password. That's all. But that has nothing to do with the database. Database doesn't have a second column called as password. Does that make sense? There's only one password which will be in. So do you want to do insert before I go login? Do you want to finish this? Do you want to do your registration? Yes, working. Okay, that's fine. Hubbard, you finished your registration, friends?